Hey everyone, North Central here. Thanks for tuning in. We got some work ahead of us today. You know, it never seems to fail. I've got people over, it's hot outside, and something in the house always seems to happen to where I have to go outside and leave the party for a little while to do some work. Well, today's not going to be any different. The air conditioner has stopped working. Well, I don't want to say it's stopped working, but it's blowing hot air. So something is definitely wrong. And we've got our tools here. So we've got a little bit of a job to do. So let's go get started. Okay, well, first thing before you do any type of troubleshooting or work on electrical stuff, you always want to turn it off. So this is the breaker for my air conditioning unit. Turn that off. Now my air conditioning unit also has a furnace to it, and you're going to want to turn your furnace off as well if you have a gas furnace, because they both share the same thermostat inside the house and the same unit sort of. So you're going to want to kill power to both. So the furnace is off and the air conditioner's off. Okay, let's go work on the unit. Okay, so here we are at the outside unit. This, of course, being the outside unit. This is just a little fuse box. It's strictly for this unit here. And just to be on the safe side, I always like to go ahead and just pull that out, set it right on top. It ensures that there's no electricity, or at least no 220, going to be going to this unit. Next thing's really simple. You do this kind of in stages. I want to check the motor, because the motor's definitely not turning in this. So I'm going to take the hood off. Okay, so I've got the top of this loosened off. We're going to go ahead and lift it up. Just kind of flip it over here. And really what we're looking for, this right here, this is the motor with the fan blades right here. This is the motor back here. You want to turn your fan blades. Make sure that they turn real nice. Make sure there's just not any grinding sound or grinding feeling in it. That would indicate that the bearings are going bad. But everything seems to be okay with it. Now don't worry about pulling it in and out like this. It should go in and out a little bit anyways. But if it goes more than, say, quarter to half inch, you may have a problem. There's nothing wrong with this fan. Let's get to the next stage. Okay, so I got the top back on. The fan checked out okay. I'm gonna break into the side panel here and check the electronics and stuff inside. Now you have to forgive me for these shots. I'll have to hold the camera as best I can. But I've got the panel loose. It's gonna simply come off. Set it aside. Now you've got this other panel here. Now underneath here, you can see that down underneath here, this big black thing right here with the yellow tag on it there, that's your compressor. Okay, over here on the side you've got some your coils and some other piping, and these are the wires that go to it. So this is pretty important here. This is your schematic diagrams. Give you a close-up of those. This one right here will actually show you the red or black wires, the wire color coding and stuff that's in here. And then this one right here is, of course, more of a, they call it a ladder form, but I call it more of a one-line type of drawing. Good stuff to know right there. So let me get this other panel off. Okay, so this is what it looks like inside here, that panel that came off, and there's really not a whole lot in here. You've got your fan wires coming in, you've got your compressor wires coming in, and they're coming up here to a contactor. You've got your incoming voltage. Now this is 230, or 220, so be careful with this. Make sure, like I said before, you have your breakers and stuff turned off. And this is your capacitor. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the fan motor wires, because I want to check and make sure that the windings are good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright guys, so here's the fan motor wires, a black, a brown, and a yellow. These are my meter test leads. Now before you unhook anything here, and I've already done it, is I like to take pictures of the things that I'm disconnecting wires off of. That way I can always go back and verify that the wires are back in the same places that they were before. Now here's the pictures that I took. So I'm going to switch the meter to ohms, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'll tell you what it says, I guess, if it's not. Black lead to yellow, red lead to brown, and I get 148 ohms. Now, these next two that I do, they're going to be less than 148 ohms by almost half, and they ought to, whenever you add the two together, it ought to come up to just about 148. So there's those two. This one's 79, and that one's 69. So pretty close, almost exact. So the motor is ohming good. The windings are okay in the motor, so it's not a motor problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and reconnect these wires just so I know that they're connected back where they're supposed to be. And I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, so the next bit of business is going to be this capacitor right here. Okay, we checked the motor out. The motor seems like it's okay. It spins freely. The windings seem to be okay. My next concern is this capacitor right here. So let me go ahead and pull this capacitor out here so we can take a look at it. All right, so here's the capacitor in my hand, and just by first glance I can tell that it's damaged. I don't know if you can see it or not. If you look at it from this side like that, you see the puffiness over here on this side right here. All that right there's all raised up. I'm going to say that this capacitor is bad. But there's a way you can check it with your own meter as well, and I'm going to show you that. Okay, again, with the meter on ohms, this is the capacitor. Now this capacitor is, of course, it's a three-prong capacitor, okay? It's a 35 to 5 microfarads at 370 volts AC. You've got your C, which is right here, that's your common. You've got one labeled Herm, which of course is your compressor. And you got one labeled fan, which of course goes to your fan. So we're going to put the black lead on C. Oop, if you can get it to stay on there. Like so. And the red one we're going to take to Herm. And there's nothing there. Huh. Look at the fan. There's nothing there either. 0L means nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this capacitor is bad and this is my problem and I need to go get a new capacitor. Okay, so about 20 minutes of being on the phone calling a couple different places, I finally found one. About an hour and a half later, I'm back. I've got the new capacitor. A little bit bigger than the old one, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be the exact same size. It's got the exact same things on it, 35 plus 5 microfarads, plus or minus 5% at 370 volts AC, and that's good. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take my meter. I want to show you what a good capacitor should look like. So put this lead here, and I'm going to go to the Herm. Okay, see how it's counting up? That's what it should do. It should count up. Now if I reverse my leads, I take the black one and I put it on the Herm, and the red one to the common. It should go backwards. See how it's counting down? That's exactly what it should do. Let's try the other side. Black to common to the fan. Should count up, and it is. Reverse them, and it should count down, and it does. So now we have a good capacitor. Let's go ahead and install. Okay, so the new capacitor's in. I've got it all wired back up, and now it's time for me to go inside and see if it's going to work properly. Now, one thing that I want to do before I go inside and turn it on is I want to put this panel back on, because it's going to, if I don't, the air is not going to be sucking through the radiator part of it here. It's going to come through here because it's the least path of least resistance, and it's not going to get as cold as it needs to be. So I definitely want to close this back up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to go inside and turn it on. Alright, this is exactly what this unit should sound like now. The compressor's running, and as soon as the compressor kicked on, the fan kicked on, because they're wired in series with each other. So when one comes on, the other should come on. The fan's blowing the heat out, sucking the air in through the coils, going through the cooler, and now I've got cold air inside. So let's get out of the heat and make a rundown of what we did. Okay everyone, we're back inside. I've got the air running. It's been running for about an hour, hour and a half. Now, the problem with the outside unit was, of course, this capacitor. But staying true to the top 10 and the most important things during SHTF, number one, knowledge. Knowing how to troubleshoot, knowing how to use a multimeter, and knowing a little bit about my air conditioner unit. I was able to go through the motions and troubleshoot and find this as being bad. Now, once I found it being bad, about 10-15 minutes on the phone, calling around to a couple of different places that finally found one. About an hour, half hour going and getting it, about a half hour coming back. I had it in my hands. $25 was what this part cost. Okay? Now, if I would have called a repairman, an HVAC repairman, it would have cost me somewhere around $100 to $200 to possibly even $300, depending on who it was that I called for this one $25 part. So knowing how to do things around your house, knowing how to properly maintain things, and how to fix things when they go wrong in your house, and jumping on it when they do happen, can save you a lot of money that you can put towards other aspects of your prepping needs. Till next time, this is North Central. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.